Alright, so I've been getting countless comments and questions, messages, whatever, asking me when I was going to be doing a paint tutorial video on how I painted my CQBR. So finally, I've gotten something in that I can paint. But before I start, I wanted to show you basically what I did in preparation for it. Basically, of course, I taped off all the parts that I didn't want painted, such as all the numberings for the scope. And that's all pretty straightforward. I didn't really think I needed to show you me doing that. But there is something I did want to show you. There's trades underneath this part, and I wanted to keep those, but I wanted to do it in a way that it didn't look sloppy, or like someone had just basically cut out a piece of tape, put it over it, and then painted it. So basically I want to show you how you can do that if it's on kind of a normal surface. Basically, you put a piece of tape over it, you take a edged object, or basically anything hard, metal, and you'll want to scratch along the outline of where the tape is until you've thinned kind of through the tape. And you basically want to do that all the way around, and then once you get all the way around, you can peel off all this excess stuff while leaving a perfect circle, in this case, that covers up all of the trademarks. Okay, so now that I have it scraped off, you can take the excess paint, and it's not going to be completely off, so you might have to pull a little bit, but you can get it basically to where it'll just come off, and you'll have the shape that you want, and the trademarks will be preserved. Alright, after you have everything taped off that you want to be preserved or whatever, you're going to want to find a spot where you can paint it, have some stuff down so paint doesn't get everywhere, you know, the usual kind of stuff. What I do when I do the wear type paint job is I start with a base coat of khaki, and that's Rust-Oleum Camouflage series. I believe it comes in like khaki, brown, green, basically all types of stuff. So yeah, you're gonna want to start with a base coat of tan, and you don't want to be too close, otherwise it'll run and it just won't look good. So start out with the base coat of tan. And once you have your base coat done, basically you just want to let it dry. It's kind of straightforward, and then you'll flip it over and do the other side, and then once that dries, then you can move on to the brown. Okay, after your base sets, you're going to want to do the dusting portion. For this, I'm going to be using brown. A key part of dusting is that you want to remember that you can never start too far away. This helps you basically just not put too much brown on and ruin the base coat. You're going to want to start far away, doing light brushes over it, and then if it's not enough, then you can go a little closer and do it again. So here's the dusting part. on the video, it's probably going to look a lot darker than it actually is. I don't know if you can see it, but basically you have the brown speckled over it, which is the dusting. Once it all dries and sets, then I'm going to show you how to do the wear part, and that will mostly get rid of the speckling stuff, and it'll just look much nicer. Okay, so once your paint is all done, you've dusted it, done the tan, taken off any tape that you put on there. Those are the trades, by the way, that I showed you earlier. Then you're going to want to do the wear portion. The wear portion is kind of controversial, I guess, if you will. A lot of people don't like doing it like fake. They like to let it wear on their own. I tend to not really care. I mean, I guess I keep in mind that like I'll wear something, but then not too much so it doesn't look fake, and then it can also wear on its own over time. So basically what you're going to want is like a foam block of sandpaper. I don't really have like a specific grit that I use. It's just kind of a whatever I have. But of course you're not going to want something too high of grit, because then it's going to look fake. So basically you're going to want to be careful on this, just to make it not look fake. You're going to want to wear the portions where your hands are going to be naturally every time. So say you're going to be adjusting this knob, this knob, this knob, whatever. And so on those knobs, you're going to want to basically just kind of scrape away paint. Yeah, and so that's going to give you basically a basic worn look. It's pretty much up to your discretion as how much you want to do, because it will wear naturally over time. Also, if you don't like the kind of the speckled look that the dusting gives, you can basically just give that a very light sanding, and that will also create little spots of wear on the scope. Hang on, macro. And then it'll also kind of get rid of that speckling and just make it look more realistic and more used. So again, and then try and get like wear kind of on the edges like this, because the edges are gonna what's gonna be buffered and hit and worn. So yeah, basically that's it. I'll show you guys some pictures of this mounted up on my SPR, and that can give you basically a better idea of what it's going to look like in the end.